Okay, welcome back. Let's finish class 3 first and then go to the post class that will be all about the posture, how to sit correctly in meditation and what are the variations. Let's do the books. So we have several books where all these 6 conditions of meditation were taken. And it is the ornament of the sutras, Sutra Alankara by Master Asanga, and he was living around 350 AD. This is the one who met Maitreya in Maitreya's paradise. You know this famous story about him meditating for 3 years. He did his great retreat, then he left, met another person who was doing something impossible to make, and then he would realize that he didn't really put efforts, and he would decide to do it again. And how long will he?
Asanga. And I remember when I first heard this story, I thought it was an exaggeration. And then having done a 3-year retreat, I don't think it was an exaggeration. So what happened is he decided to go into a 3-year retreat. And then at the end of it, he gets disgusted. You know, he's tired. He's tired of being in retreat. He's ready for the outside world. And then he walks into the outside world and he sees something and realizes
a man who is polishing the rock and saying that I will destroy, how you call it, like I will, I want to destroy the rock, you know, like with a soft clothes.
Yeah, there's he does it
even feather.
Yeah, there was I haven't looked up the story. I don't remember what happens each time. One of the one I always remember is the old lady who's taking a bar of iron and polishing it with a cotton ball until she makes a needle. And he goes, okay, well, that's patience, right? And so I need to have more patience. And so what happens is that he goes into a 3-year retreat. He gets tired of it. Yeah, the hell with it. I'm going to go out and go back out into the world. He sees something, realizes he needs to go back into retreat, stays for another 3 years, gets tired, comes out, sees something else, goes back in. And he does it for 12 years total. He spends 12 years in retreat.
And finally, in 12 years, he was completely fed up. So he leaves finally his place of retreat, and he sees a dog dying in the middle of the road because a wheel rolled over the dog, and moreover, in the wounds of the dog, he sees how you call them?
Maggots.
Maggots. So the fly left eggs, and the maggots came out, and they are all over these wounds. You know, it's pretty disgusting, but he feels for the first time in his life so much compassion, you know, that he decides to save both the dog and the maggots. But if he will take maggots with his fingers, he realizes that he will smash them. So he decides to do it with his tongue, you know, like, and when he just bends over the dog and sticks his tongue out of a sudden, he realizes that he is in a totally different place. Boy, I have goosebumps. He is in a totally different place, and instead of a dog, he sees the future Buddha, Maitreya. Maybe you heard from Geshe Michael recently. He was mentioning several times that it's not that far that you can sing both. Then Maitreya, he teaches him. They spend one morning he taught him, I think, 5 books, right? Right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think 5 books, and one of them is this ornament of the sutras, Sutra Alankara. So basically, it was written down by Master Asanga, but the author is Maitreya. And fame.
And it was funny because he's so excited that Maitreya is there. He puts Maitreya on his shoulders and he's running through the village, and he sees, he sees the future Buddha. The villagers
they see nothing, and only one lady with a little bit better karma than other people have seen a dead dog.
yeah, the dog, right. And so, people just think he's crazy, but I do think that, I think that's possible.
Okay, so
and there's 2 people we're going to talk about here, and you will hear their names consistently. As long as you're studying in this lineage, you'll hear Master Asanga and Master Vasubandhu. They wrote quite a bit on the early Indian schools of emptiness, and were major figures. And the debate back and forth between the 2 of them about what does it mean for things to be empty is there's some of the classics, some of the major text in this lineage.
So the first condition, remember we had 6 conditions last time. So the first one comes from this book, from Master Asanga. And the other conditions, actually all of them, they also come from another book written by Master Kamala Shila, a very, very famous meditator in our lineage. He was living around 750 AD. And he was famous for 2 things mainly. First, he wrote 3 amazing books for meditators. Unfortunately, all 3 of them have the same name, so you don't really know what they're talking about when they quote him. All of them, they are called Bhavanakrama, and it is translated as the stages of meditation. And this comes of one of these Bhavanakramas. And another important source to teach this fact that you have to have few desires, right? And have this santosha, feeling that you are satisfied with what you have, is the treasure house of higher knowledge, or Abhidharma Kosha, written by Master Vasubandhu, mentioned by Bill. He was the half brother of Master Asanga, also living same dates, 350 AD, except, you know what? I know that when they spent this morning together with Maitreya, for him on the earth, 50 years went by. So when he was back, actually 50 years went by on the earth, and I have never heard what happened next, his brother probably already went.
I don't know, because there's a big discussion. I'm not clear on the history of that, because there's
maybe you will find out.
There's a big discussion between the 2 brothers, a big debate between the 2 brothers about the different schools of emptiness. And so I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Maybe you will figure it out. Or you know what happens usually? You don't know the answer, but you really pay attention to the subject, and the answer comes.
Yeah,
necessary.
It's crazy like that. It'll come from places you don't expect. And personally, I know it's a little hard to imagine, right? Spend one day and then 50 years have gone by. I think it's possible. And I think the more you study emptiness and cause and effect, the more you realize that it's possible, that time itself isn't, we're experiencing it the way we're experiencing it. That's its own karma, right? You have a seed to experience time moment by moment. at the pace it's going. Physicists can't define time other than to say that it's something that a clock measures, right? And I think this is where Buddhism and the idea of emptiness will really eventually help them, because they'll realize that it's our own mind that's creating our experience of time the way it is, right? And that it's possible for a being to be experiencing it completely differently. Like a Buddha experiences time all in one moment, like all of the past, all of the present, all of the future. For me, a Buddha would experience all of it in a single instant. And I think that's possible.
Okay, so let's start class 4. And it is all about meditation posture.
The one thing that I want to say about, well, a number of things before we get into the classic definition of the proper posture. I remember, plainly, you don't have to sit in full lotus. Full lotus is where your legs are crossed and your right ankle is on your left hip and your left ankle is on your right hip, and I had done yoga for 8 years, was almost was very well along into the second series of Ashtanga, and still couldn't sit comfortably in full lotus. And then I remember thinking, well, I'm not going to be able to meditate unless I can get my legs like that. It's not like that at all. You don't have to bend yourself into a pretzel to meditate. If you can, it's very comfortable to sit like that if you have the flexibility, because it supports your back. You can sit up straight. It helps your energies flow nicely, but it's 100% not required to sit like that. It wasn't, frankly, until I got into 3-year retreat and was spending 12 hours a day sitting on the floor that my legs got flexible enough to be that, to sit like that, but to sit on the floor like that. One of the best meditators I've ever known, a man, he actually wrote, had a lot of students, wrote a textbook on how to meditate. And I remember when I found out, because he was older, he was probably in his 60s when I first met him. And he used a big inflatable, plastic blue chair, right? I mean, it was literally like a plastic, blow up inflatable chair. And that's where he meditated. And he had actually gone past shamatha to supposedly, and it's hard to verify, but I think he did it, was on the second form realm. So he'd gone past the point necessary to have the direct perception of emptiness, and had actually gotten more stable and more still, and had gone into the form realms, which that's a different story. I think he got a little lost, actually, but he could meditate, and he sat in a big plastic chair, and because that was comfortable for him. He was upright, which is the main thing, and because you'll fall asleep if you lay over, but he was comfortable. And one more story on this one, because I remember the first retreat I ever did was at Diamond Mountain. Well, Geshe Michael was still in his 3-year retreat. He was on one side of the mountain range, and Diamond Mountain was on the other, and there was a 10-day retreat, Jason Kappa mantra retreat, had been given by Winston, was giving, Winston McCullough was one of the early people there, and he was leading a 10-day Jason Kappa mantra retreat. And at the time, I'm like most Westerners. I've sat in a chair. My legs are really stiff. I hadn't sat on the ground since elementary school, right? And my back hurt. So we're sitting there saying these prayers on the ground and with just a cushion. And at one point we're meditating, and Winston said, well, and don't move, don't move during your meditation. And so I'm sitting there and I was determined to be a good student. And I'm sitting there quietly and we're counting the Jason Kappa mantras. And well, my back starts hurting and my knees start hurting. But I'm tough. And because my knees were just hanging up in the air, right? They couldn't lay flat, and I didn't have cushions underneath them. And so, like slowly, like your tendons are pulling on your knees and your back, and it's all just like straining against each other because your legs are hanging in the air. And I mean, I'm just sitting there, just in incredible pain, and that's absolutely not what meditation is about. That's 100% not what you're supposed to be doing. It isn't about sitting there and gutting through pain like that. It was completely not necessary. So
okay, so the chair is fine.
yeah. So you need to be someplace comfortable where you're supported. But these are the classical positions, and if you can get into lotus or half lotus, it's wonderful. Not necessary.
Okay. Do you want to go through description first, or maybe do a meditation with description of the postures?
I honestly, like, I want to be compassionate to the people. I know it's midnight there. They're probably having a hard time sitting. The people in Europe, it's late, right?
It's almost 10 p.m. in Europe.
Yeah, I mean,
but it is fine if you will listen tomorrow to the class. So we do not want you to stay up late.
Okay, so you want to do a meditation?
I want to teach. So let's do the meditation first, and then we will go through the posture. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll try to keep 10 minutes. Sit up straight. So your legs, because we are meditating on our chairs and not in full lotus or half lotus position, just make sure that they are grounded, your feet are grounded, make contact with the floor. Classically, you don't keep your eyes open all the way or closed all the way. We will talk about it more. Now you can just go ahead and close them. You can try unfocused eyes if you want, half open. Sit up very straight. Like how they call it, the stack of ferns. And this is to make your channels as straight as you can. Make your shoulders level. Neither one of them is higher than the other. Your chin is parallel to the floor. Means that your head is neither tilted up nor down. Teeth and lips are in natural position. Your tongue is in a natural position. It can touch the top of your mouth if you want. Make your breath completely quiet. And follow it for a count of 10. Now think about your motivation for this class. And ask your teacher to help you. Go back to your breathing, open your eyes. It's 3 minutes.
Easy.
So now let's talk about it in more details. First, I think what is important, you decide that you do not move, because for some reason I missed it in the beginning when I started practice meditation, and then I was shocked when really not move at all. And it's difficult in the beginning, but then you get used to it, and it's actually help you to go straight into quite deep concentration when you just stop moving at all.
I remember when I first started meditating with the ACI classes, and the first time I ever sat down, and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to sit for 15 minutes, and it's like, I felt like I was like locked in prison, I was panicking. Like, oh, I can't move. I can't move. I can't move. Oh, what am I going to do for 15 minutes? I can't move. And it was really uncomfortable. And that goes away. And all of these points that we're going to give you here, it's to make your body neutral. It's so that your mind isn't going to be distracted by your body. You're not going to be like in pain. You're not going to be dull, right? Like if you lay down, particularly if it's 10 o'clock at night, where you are, and you lay down and your dullness will increase rapidly until you go to sleep. And so these are things, if you sit vertically, you won't have that dullness. And it's so that you don't notice your body and the energy in your body is flowing properly, so you can withdraw your mind and focus on one thing. And it actually, when you get good at it, it's very pleasant, physically and even mentally. There's physical and mental pliancy that comes with it, that's actually quite comfortable. So it starts out difficult. You will get better.
And for some of you, it will not be difficult to start.
Yeah. There's a range. I was in horrible physical shape when I first started.
Okay, so first you put, let's go through the 8 characteristics of a correct meditation posture. And this is very classic. I mean, you will find it in any book dedicated to meditation. It is also called the 8-point Vairochana posture, and we will talk later why Vairochana. So first, put your legs in a full lotus or half lotus position. We already talked about it. You don't have to do it. The chair is as good as full lotus.
And to be fair, the issue with sitting in like a normal like office chair or like these hard these are dining room table chairs that we're sitting in. The problem with the chair like this is that as your legs hang over the front of it, they pull down on your lower back. And as you're sitting, and then we get a little bit of pressure on the backs of our legs in sitting in these particular chairs. And most like kitchen chairs, dining room chairs aren't going to be really, really ideal. You want something a little more supportive, but the main point is that your legs are supported and neutral, and so that you're not having to think about it. Like in this picture, I don't think the guy's going to be happy sitting there for long because his right foot is not really up on his thigh, and so it's going to start pressing down and be painful for him. He's very flexible to have gotten that far, but to really do lotus right, the ankle has to be on the thigh, and the way his arms are out straight like that, it looks like he's having to support him, and you really don't want to be using any muscular effort to hold anything, because then over time that's going to require effort, and that effort's going to distract your mind from whatever it is it's focusing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so sitting position, right? If you cannot, one important point about the chair, Malaf, thank you, you reminded me. Never do it like leaning on the chair.
Yeah.
So basically what you have to do is to get yourself out of the chair and sit on the first half of the chair, and then you can really touch the ground with your both feet, you know, like press it, you know, a little bit. And then when you press with your feet, then naturally, you know, like you sit up straight. And then you can use it to meditation.
Yeah, if your spine is bent, your energy won't flow properly, frankly, and you'll be dull. You won't be as clear as what you would be if your spine was straight. And then if you want to sit down on the ground, you can sit in whatever cross-legged position works for you, and then take like a cushion and put them underneath your knees. If you could imagine, if this man's knees, normally when you sit on the ground cross-legged like that, if you're stiffer than this man is, your knees will be up in the air. And then you can take, usually like you'll see people all the time in the Gompa, they would they'd be sitting on the floor, but they would put meditation cushions underneath each of their knees so they were supported. And that way you didn't have to be in full lotus, but you're sitting on the ground. And again, the nice part about sitting on the ground like that is that you have a lot of surface area that's supporting you, so your weight is distributed evenly, right?
Yeah. So the second point is about your eyes. So classically, and it's actually very funny, because what they write is you keep your eyes on your nose. And you know what people do with this? This.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Stop slides. I will demonstrate you again. Don't do this. This is not what it says. What they mean is, imagine you put your hands in front of your face, and then look at your hands And now take your hands off. And your eyes are still kind of focusing here, except there is nothing here anymore. Like this is, it helps you to unfocus your eyes. Otherwise, if it's difficult for you, you can just keep your eyes half open and then defocus. You're not looking at anything. You are looking just in the air, you know.
And we'll talk a bit more about it later. But if your mind is prone to too much activity, if you're prone to agitation, you can close your eyes all the way, and that will help a little bit. If you're more prone to dullness, if you're getting tired, if the object isn't clear, you can open them up just a little bit and get a little bit more light in. But
to wake you up.
Yeah, it helps your energy. Little details like that will make a difference. But your eyes aren't wide open, because then you're going to be distracted by the visual inputs that you're getting.
So the whole idea of this 8-point posture is to withdraw your senses. So you would not be in pain sitting. Basically, you are parking your body that it would not distract you. And second idea is that you are learning how to manage your body if you are too dull or too agitated, you know, like with the eyes open or close, and also with some that we will talk about a bit later.
It's really cool. Your mind has the capability to free itself from the body. You're experiencing the world from inside the body out right now, if you're like an average typical human, but you can, I don't have any way to verify that, but if you're a typical human, then you're experiencing the world like from inside the body looking out. But you can free your mind from that. It's not limited to just being inside of here. And these practices will help you do that. It's really extraordinary, frankly.
Then the third point is you sit up straight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing to add to it, right? You just make sure that your, how you call it, like imagine that
top
thread,
of your head?
huh?
Yeah, top of your head, the string.
There is a string that is holding your head, right? And this is how I do.
And again, the idea is to create a stable platform for your body to rest naturally. If you're bent over, you know, like if you like, eventually your back's going to get tired, and you're going to have to move. And when you move, that will distract your mind from the object. And so, and you don't want to be like unnaturally like forced straight, like military, you know, at attention either, because then at some point your body's going to want to get tense and you'll want to relax. It's
yeah, this is why the stream, like you have an impression that this straightness comes from inside, right? Like your tip of your head,
the crown,
your crown goes up, right? And everything else is just following your crown.
And you know, you're trying to get a situation where, you know, the structure of your body, the bones and the muscles are supporting themselves as much as possible without any kind of muscular effort.
Yeah.
Too fast. All right.
So you sit up straight, then what? Then you check your shoulders level. Okay, I have scoliosis, right? And I need some kind of a mirror or something to check my shoulders level, because usually it is incorrect. Neither one of them should be higher than the other one. It's point number 4. And point number 5 is that your chin should be parallel to the floor. I mean, it should not be too much tilted up or down. It should be in neutral position. And this is the second point when you can manage your clarity of your mind, right? It should be in neutral position. If you are sleepy, then you may want to do a little bit higher. If you are agitated, you want to be a little bit, to get a little bit lower, right? And also you're moving your eyes together with this. So chin and eyes position is what defines, what helps you to be in good focus. And we will talk a lot about this two things. You do not want to go to dullness, and you do not want to be agitated. You want to be in the middle, right? So
and with all of these things, it's like a lot of things. When you're first starting, you have to spend a lot of time thinking about it. But then once you practice it, you'll just sit down on the cushion, boom, just just focus right in. Your body will be instantly comfortable, disappear, withdraw, and it will come really naturally to you. And it's pretty remarkable too, because well, keep going. We'll keep going on the subject, and we'll talk more about it.
Something that I wanted to mention, that also talking about eyes and face and front, that we have the tendency to, especially I have this tendency, when I focus, I do this, and I constantly work on this thing, like soften here, because this is the place, like our two channels, side channels start, and also Bill says it's my third eye.
Yeah, the little crease that's there.
Yeah, so you want to make it softer, and then your meditation will be smoother. And everybody's body is different, so you need to do a lot of experiments and find out what works the best for you. Then what? Teeth and lips are in natural position. I mean, you don't do anything strange with them. You just shut your mouth, and teeth and lips should be loose there. The idea is, if you will meditate long enough, you will have a tendency, your mouth can open up, and then it will get dry.
Yeah, and which is uncomfortable and distracting. You'd hear people talk about meditators who sat and they would just be drooling, because they were so drunk. I never.
Drooling is what?
Drooling, like the saliva from your mouth would just be rolling out, and because they're so focused, they're not noticing it. I never experienced that. I personally didn't have a problem with it, and personally, I didn't want to be drooling all over myself. So, that was, you can keep your mouth shut. And the main thing, people walk around with tension in their jaw, or too slack. You just want to hold it comfortable.
Yeah, and your tongue is in a natural position. In scriptures, they say that it's good when it touches your palate, how you call it, the top of your mouth.
Yeah,
right?
the tip of your tongue rests at the top of the roof of your mouth, right where the teeth come into the top of your mouth, into the,
which is a completely natural position.
It is. It's very comfortable.
Yeah. And basically that's it. Then you count your exhales, inhales. You start with exhale, and you pay special attention on exhale. because you want to get lung, right? Prana.
And then
that builds up in your chest when you meditate a lot.
And you'll see people in the yoga studios, right? You do that ujjayi breathing, right? Where, particularly in Ashtanga, they're breathing very forcefully, right? And making a lot of noise. And that's very intentional. They're specifically trying to get some energy in their body moving stronger with that strong breath. You're not doing that in meditation. You're not doing that strong ujjayi breathing with, you're not doing that. It's soft, fine, quieter. Nobody should hear you. And as your meditation gets deeper and better, your breathing will slow down and get even finer and softer and really more subtle. And you'll hear the wind going across the hairs in your nostrils. And then, that'll start distracting you a little bit. And so then you'll quiet on down from there until you don't even hear the wind. And then at a certain point, your breath will just stop, literally stop. So
you will still be alive, don't worry.
Yeah, nobody's ever died from lack of oxygen while meditating that I'm aware of. Big world, right? It was so stupid he stopped breathing.
Yeah, there's a very famous, this is a very, very famous process. At some point, your focus starts being so sharp, like so strong that you do not need breathing anymore. And then at some point, you just catch yourself that, oh my God, I was not breathing for a moment.
And if you see now, the people who are setting world records for not breathing are Buddhist meditators. They've learned these skills, like incredible amounts of time that they spent not breathing. But that's later. The point of all of this is you should be comfortable. You should be happy. You're not injuring yourself. Sometimes, nobody will be doing this now, but you'd hear of people who would force themselves into lotus position and damage their knees and never be able to meditate again after that because they had pain in their knees. And completely not the point. Should be happy, comfortable, supported, and
don't take it too serious.
No,
play with it.
It's
make experiments.
And as far as time goes, you don't want to spend more time than what you're happy doing. Initially, if that's 10 minutes, I think most people should be able to do 5 or 10 minutes pretty easily. And then, you build up to 15 minutes. And then if that's happy, you can go 20, 30, an hour.
Geshe Michael says 1 minute a week, and then it's gradually you do 1 hour, no problem.
And there are some meditation programs that are effective at helping you reach shamatha. And they never do more than 15 minutes at a time. And because their idea is that you're going to be very, very focused. It's going to be a very high quality 15 minutes. And then you get up, take a break, sit back down, do another 15 minutes. Take a break, get up, walk around, do another 15 minutes. They might spend 2 hours in meditation, but they're doing it in 15-minute blocks because that's how long they can do it and be comfortable. Now, nobody, in retreat, I got up to about 6 hours a day at one point meditating. But what I found was that even in retreat, 2 hours was the most. And I think I ended up, I think about an hour and a half was where I was really kind of like the most comfortable. And that was in the depth of retreat. You can get in the outside world, another common pattern would be to sit for an hour, take a break, sit for another hour. You're going to have to be pretty proficient to do that. But that's another real common pattern is I don't think for people in the outside world, you're ever going to be sitting much more than an hour at a time. And when you hear people say that they sat for 5-6 hours, or they're really probably not focusing clearly. They're probably in a trap where they're just subtly dull. They're just zoning out. I don't think their minds are really crisp and clear. And to actually have the direct perception of emptiness, it's a 20-minute process. It's not going to, you don't have to sit there for hours and hours and hours. And a 60-minute meditation is reachable. That's it's not going to take an extraordinary amount of time to be able to do it.
Yeah, and if you do it gradually, then you reach 60 minutes. It should be enough to build up to the level that you want for your direct perception of emptiness.
Yeah, it again, start off with 15 minutes and then to reach shamatha in the outside world, I think if you're consistent, and we'll talk more about it, but if you're consistent and you're meeting all the other conditions and you're doing it intelligently, I think you're looking at 1 to 2 hours a day for about 3 years. Some people will go quicker. I've heard of people doing it as quickly as 1 year. If you have a job and a lifestyle that's conducive for meditation, if your job already requires you to focus a lot, and your concentration is already really good.
And not stressful.
Yeah, and not stressful, right? And if you're getting regular sleep and living in a quiet environment, and you have the aptitude, right? It's like, it's like an athlete or musician. Some people will pick it up quicker than others. So the fastest I've ever heard of anybody doing it is a year. I think 3 years is possible. And probably about what the average person is looking for if they have all the conditions and if they are doing this regularly. If there's other issues, it will take longer.
For other issues, if you have a busy life, a family, don't think that meditation is not for you. Because it's not about these lists that you will be able to meditate or you will get the right conditions. Mm-hmm. It's about your seeds, right? So I remember I tried to meditate. I was a mom. I was working full-time job. I had to travel a lot. I mean, not very conducive conditions to meditate, right? And my work was time to time stressful. So you can plant seeds to meditate, right? First, by the fact that your butt touches the cushion every single day. Mm-hmm. So even 5-10 minutes will plant seeds. Guess how many? Like 65 multiplied by 10, like what? Multiplied by 60 and multiplied by 10. That many seeds you will create within 10 minutes of meditation. If you will, wow, it's 39,000 seeds you will plant if you will just make a decision that you dedicate this short meditation to your long meditation, to your shamatha, to your direct perception of emptiness, to your long retreats, So, and the second thing is you have to serve your family, right? you can dedicate your daily activities to your meditation, your ethical way of living to your meditation, and you can support other meditators. Like I wanted to go to 1 month retreat this spring. I really wanted to go, but I didn't have the right conditions. So I decided to support Alexa, and we raised money for her 1 month retreat. So this is what you can do. Support also other retreatants, meditation programs. You can teach your friend to meditate. Very important to have a meditation friend, with whom you will share your cool stuff you discover in your meditation. So,
and you don't have to have shamatha in order to get some benefit out of a lot of benefit out of the meditation. And I hope everybody is doing their homeworks and taking the quizzes, because that's going to really help you retain the information. Critical to do them, particularly and absolutely mandatory, absolutely necessary if you want to go on to the advanced teachings, which you should want to go on. But when you do the meditations for the ACI classes, just sitting down for 15 minutes, it's really helping you burn it into your brain. It's really helping you retain the information, and you don't have to have shamatha to do that. So 15 minutes a day to start off with, wonderful, and really a critical part of the ACI program. And you will get better over time, right? Again, it's just like a jogger, right? If you've never run before in your life and you go out and you try jogging, and 1 mile or 2 kilometers might be really hard. And then a month later, you can do 3 kilometers, a couple months after that, 4, and then you get faster, stronger, and your capacity will increase, just like an athlete's or a musician who does their musical exercises and gets faster and more precise. So it's a skill. It's not really that mysterious. You can do it. Lots of people have done it. There are clear instructions for how to do it, and it's powerful. It's really, really useful.
2 more things about posture, and then we can go to. Actually, it's not a long class. It will be shorter than other ones. One thing that everybody asks, why hands are not among these 8 points, because it doesn't matter where you will put your hands. You can put them just on your knees. You can do, these things that you place your left hand, then your right hand, then you join your thumbs, and then you just put them on your ankles when you meditate, or on your knees. I don't know how you call it.
In your lap.
In your lap to meditate. This is second thing. I meditated a lot using this one until John Brady told me then, and I realized that he's right. You get the tendency to collapse a little bit in your chest, and then I started to follow his advice, like chin mudra on my knees, and it actually helps me to sit up straight, no problem. Otherwise, I would have this, like time to time. I would
like your hands are like this, but in your lap.
Then at some point you stop really controlling your body, and you go like this.
And do what works for you. But when you had your hands like that and they're sitting in your lap, your arms are pressed against your side, and I would get heat building up.
This is
and that's distracting. The heat there, and you start sweating, and the sweat rolls down.
Unless it's cold.
Yeah, unless it's cold.
Then it's a good posture.
Yeah, right. But it's. I usually tend to overheat more than be too cold, and so
overheat.
Yeah. I would tend to overheat. You can tell like I've got a lot of the energy and
On fire.
on fire, yeah. Lots of fire. And I found it more helpful to, I would put my hands in this mudra. I wouldn't leave them turned up because my arms didn't rotate and they would be comfortably like that. I would leave them down on my knees because that was a more stable position for me. And there's some variation here that you can work with that will work better for you.
Yeah, and your body is unique, so you have to discover which advice will work the best for you.
Mhm.
And the last thing is, I think we should talk a little bit about lung.
Oh,
It's a meditator's disease. You will never get lung if you meditate once a day. Like even if you will meditate 1 hour, you will not get lung.
this is really interesting because I remember hearing about this for the first time, 24 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, lung, like an energy problem. And it sounded really bizarre. And what happens is that if you're meditating, there's energy in your body, that there's prana in your body. And we'll talk a lot more about it when you get to the advanced teachings, but it's a level of your being that's more subtle than the nerves and bone and muscle. And there's an energy that flows through your body. And we'll talk more about it later, but when you're meditating, you start moving that energy and you can get too much of it, particularly if you're focused around the center of your chest, near your heart. And then I remember I was talking earlier about doing the Jason Kappa mantra retreat. And so, they warned you that in a retreat like that, you can get lung. And what happens, people will have different symptoms, but you get a tightness in your chest, your heart starts beating, you're kind of like short of breath. You can be irritable, and you'll laugh, and things will seem funny.
Lightheadedness.
Yeah, lightheaded. You'll laugh, but it's not like a happy laughter. And then
anxiety.
You can get anxiety, and then the worst part is that you can't sleep. And I remember, and they said, well, you're going to get this from like I'm reciting words. I'm sitting still reciting words, and this is going to happen. And I remember I went on this 10-day retreat, and I'm like pilot, super busy, super important, determined. I'm going to beat this one. I'm going to get enlightened this weekend, and and I'm saying the mantras as quick as what I can, and really just grinding away at it. Perfect for lung. And about
check.
And it was super cold when we were doing it. It was December, and we were camping outside, and it was a cold December, waking up with ice on the tent, and which is also conducive to lung cold. And so about 6-7 days into it, I couldn't sleep anymore. I was super irritable, clearly had all the symptoms. And it was so bad, I could tell that reciting the mantras was making it worse. I could feel the tension in my chest. And you've got to be careful when you're getting that, because it can get bad enough that you've got to go to the hospital, that they will have to take you and give you sedatives, like to put you to sleep. You can, you don't go 2 nights without sleeping if you get the lung. But one of the interesting things really interesting things is they're talking about this different worldview, right? They're talking about things we haven't seen before. If you're an ordinary human, desire realm, form realm, formless realm, direct perception of emptiness, shamatha and prana, and all of this other stuff. Wow, that's different, right? Is it accurate? And then you get lung, and it's like, oh, okay, well, they warned me about it. I'd never heard of it before, and now I've got it. And boy, aren't I irritated. and then it was one of
confirmations.
It was one of the confirmations that they knew what they were talking about, right?
In these books.
Yeah. One of the things is like, oh, okay, well, that's I haven't seen the form realm. I haven't seen the formless realm. I'm not talking to angels, but I've got lung.
And the bad part of it. Okay, let me share also, because I was very lucky when I went to my was it 8 to 9 days retreat here. Was very stupid to lock myself in a room, because then you have a perfect condition for long.
Yeah, it's
when you cannot really walk outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, perfect. 8 days, I will do all the mantras, I will do all 4 sessions, in a day. And then I start to feel that it builds up, actually. It builds up so bad that I naturally tried to find some yoga postures, like to release it, to move it somehow. But then, I can confirm that he's right. Like 4 days after that, I didn't have even one symptom of the list. I was not irritated. Was not lightheaded. Was not giggling. Was not silly. I just went to bed. I closed my eyes. I'm not sleeping. I have my body is full of energy. Like I just cannot sleep. And there are a lot of. Why we talk about it, probably you are not going to 7 or more days retreats. I had it like first symptoms day 4 of probably day 4.
It takes a few days for it to settle.
Probably 2-3 days you are safe. You will not have it if you do 2-3 days retreat, but then it can really happen. Then there is a range of things you can do with this. But first, unfortunately, you have to stop meditating and recite your mantras for a while.
Yeah, if you get it, you need to back off, because if you get a lot of it, if you don't back off, if you keep pressing through, it can create a condition that lasts the rest of your life. It can be really, really, really bad. Like the prana in your body is real, and it's also powerful, and you're starting to do practices that are affecting it, and you don't hurt yourself. And the things, we'll talk a lot more about it later on, particularly in the advanced courses. But there's things you can do, like eat something heavy, butter, oil, heavy foods. Yoga was a critical part of my retreat, because when you go into the retreat, the focused areas, you're working with these winds and you can stir them up too much. And the yoga really was, I think, for everybody there, almost everybody there, a really critical part of helping to manage the lung. Just if you start getting it, go out and take a walk. Walking helped. I had such a problem with lung, and frankly was so wary of it.
That you were happy to have it quickly.
It was quite a lesson when I got it early on. But even in the deep retreats, I would go take a walk. Even in the deep retreats, I would go take a long walk in the evening to help dissipate it. I wouldn't talk to anybody, but I'm particularly prone to it. And so, sitting inside of a very small area makes it more intense.
Yeah. And I was lucky that Bill knew what I was talking about here. Oh, okay, you are getting loon.
Yeah.
And actually, this is what you said before I went to my first retreat, right?
Yeah.
He said, I was thinking, oh, he will give me tasks what I should meditate on. He said, your task is to meet Lung for the first time. And it was so true.
Yeah.
And learn how to manage it, because it can be helpful for you if you know how to manage it. You can make some great progress if you manage it well, or it can stop you from practicing.
Yeah, and we're telling you about it now. Plant a seed, and you'll see. At some point, you'll see.
And the last thing about Lung is, unfortunately, it is not just a meditator disease as it was described in Tibet. Because Tibetans, they were very grounded people, like they would walk a lot, do the hard physical jobs, What was completely clear to me in the retreat is that my Lung was built up before I went to a retreat. So all the stress, all the computers, all the worries, unfortunately, nowadays, people, they live in this Lung condition and they do not know about it.
Yeah.
They do not remember the wonderful state of being grounded. So maybe you will want to work on this.
You can tell that you have Lung when you, and it's a doctor you won't mind, but when you go pee-pee in the toilet, if it's all frothy, foamy, bubbly, that's a sign that you've got Lung. If
that's a perfect symptom, actually.
If your urine is creating a frothy bubble in the toilet, you have Lung, no questions about it. And things that make it worse, like all the tension, stress, busy activity,
flying airplane.
Business, flying an airplane is horrible for Lung. Horrible for Lung. You can feel it. It affects your digestion. You can't digest food properly. You're getting too much Lung. But caffeine.
Caffeine is horrible. And inside retreat, you have a very clear understanding what will bring you more Lung. Like I would just, I decided that I will read some commentaries on my computer. I will not do anything else. I disconnected it from internet. And then, you know what happened? I was just looking at my computer and I was getting more Lung, like I could feel that it gets worse when I just look at it. Phones, same, a little bit less. Artificial food, like I could not imagine drinking coffee, green tea in the morning, and that's it. And all the food in the refrigerator, I could, with my third eye, I could detect if it's artificial or not, because of lungi. Okay, that's I can eat.
Yeah. Sugary foods, carbonated foods.
Sugar is horrible.
Yeah, everybody, you'll figure it out. And then it's not entirely your enemy. In long retreats, you'll stay right on the edge. Like you'll learn to work with it, and you'll use the energy, because
wind.
Yeah, you'll use that energy, and you can do a 12-hour day of prayers and meditation and practice, because you've got the energy. You just have to be careful about not going over and hurting yourself with too much of it. But anyway,
that's it for the Lung.
If you're in a retreat and you start getting it, find somebody who knows what they're doing, who can help you, and don't let it go too far.
Yeah, and you will not get it when you meditate 10-15 minutes a day.
No.
It's impossible.
That's
But maybe you want to do something about your life. Maybe you will practice our good night book club,
Yeah,
you know,
really.
because this is good against lung. This is actually what happens.
Sleep.
We fight our lung that we both have horrible. So,
Sleep's wonderful for it.
yeah.
Sleep is what you need.
Okay, so the only two questions that left is about Jetson Kappa source and Vairochana posture, right?
Mhm.
So this is the source. You can see at the screen. It's same book by Master Kamalashila Bhavanakrama, The Stages of Meditation. I probably want to tell you the story about Master Kamalashila really quick because I mentioned that he's famous for two things, but I told you only one books. So the second thing is that he was a master of debates, also not only a great meditator, and he had a famous debate with Master Woshan. Was a Chinese monk, and he had a lot of students, and he was teaching that meditating on emptiness is close your eyes and think about nothing. It's a very harmful idea, horrible idea that I heard a lot in yoga studios and other places. People, they really think that meditation is when you space out. If you space out and drink half bottle of vodka, then you are guaranteed to space out.
Yeah.
It's not meditation though.
Yeah, it's and they had a big debate. It's part of the story with Master Kamal Shila and Washang is they had a big debate, and it was a very serious, very, very serious endeavor. Because whoever won, the loser had to give up his school, and all of his students had to follow the winner.
And he should become the follower of the winner also.
Yeah, and so Master Kamala Shila won the debate, and Washang he had to leave the country, I believe. I think
Master Kamala Shila was killed by students of Washang because he won.
So it was very serious stuff, and it's a very wrong idea that you're supposed to just turn off your mind and do nothing, right? There's meditation is not shutting the mind down. Meditation is being able to focus it. Geshe used the analogy of a powerful gun. It's like you have this laser, just this strong laser focus, and it's extremely powerful. It's certainly not nothing, right? It's not just zoning out. You have this super ability to focus, concentrate, examine, and understand things. You can take that focus, shift it from object to object intentionally without distraction. You can have conceptual things that you're focusing on, and I will leave it at that.
Yeah. One thing is that there is a very famous karmic correlation. What you get if you think about nothing. Unfortunately, I have seen meditators who were really good in thinking about nothing. It was very funny because I knew the person, and then they start to feel forgetful, that honestly, less smart, less intelligent. So this is the karmic correlation if you want to focus on nothing and space out during your meditation. Same if you allow yourself to stay dull in your meditation and do nothing about it, you will get very similar result.
Yeah, it's if you recall our discussion on the form realm and the formless realm, at the highest level of the formless realm, you don't have a physical body. There physical objects. And your mind is so focused, it's almost shut down. But you can't shut it down entirely. And that's impossible. You can't stop your mind. And then, it's very pleasurable, last for an incredibly long time, and then it runs out, and then you are right back in, they say that the typical flow again is back to a hell realm after that, because you've burned up all your goodness. So not the goal, just to stop you.
Okay, and the last question left to discuss today is this 8-point or 8 characteristics, sometimes called the 8-point posture of the Buddha, is it the same like 8-point posture of the Buddha named Vairochana? Or appearances in English? Yeah, it is the same. And there is another posture that you can see in the text that is 7-point posture. Is it same or different? It is basically the same, but just they are not listing breath in the 7-point posture. And I was thinking, why Geshe Michael brought the Buddha named Vairochana here? I think this is to plant seeds in your mind, because you probably will learn more about this Buddha in future.
Yeah, you'll hear that name again, and there'll be a lot more discussion about the breath when you get to the more advanced classes about how your breath affects your mind. So. Okay.
Close your eyes. You want to say something?
Закрыть глаза.
Okay. Close your eyes. Think about 4 classes you have done so far in meditation. Remember your motivation. And now dedicate all the seeds that you have planted to become a master of meditation. You don't have to know how it will happen. Even you have a very busy life, believe me, it will happen. Dedicate to become a great master of meditation and help a lot of people, living beings around you with your energy, with your actions, with your words. And let's do 3 exhales. First, send this seeds, this energy that you created. I like to imagine as golden light coming out of my chest to all the people that I love. First exhale. Then to everybody on this planet, second exhale of golden light. And the third one to everybody else in this universe. Okay. Have anything to
add? Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share this with you. It's very exciting.
Thank you. Translators, coordinators, lots of people involved, all the volunteers. Without you, we could not do this thing. Please stay with us and help us, continue to help us, and hopefully we will also be able to help you. Thank you for studying. Please do your homeworks and see you tomorrow for the class 5. That will be very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everybody who's helping us.